Hello and welcome to Your Take is Excrement.
It's a podcast where we've been scrapping that bit.
Nope. Giving up. All right, abort. Okay.
Eject.
Oh wow, already more progressive than Texas.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. Hey, we're here. It's hi. Hey, it's your girl. It's me. It's May. It's your sister in crime. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, it's Neo. At Excrement on Twitter or on Steam if you want.
Oh, okay. Is that what we're doing now? We're playing
I'm
games with Neo.
I should start streaming.
You should. It's true.
But before we get too far,
Tell the people in the comment section. People. Hi, I know you're there. Tell Neo to stream. Encourage. Be encouraging.
I do need encouragement.
I know you
just
do.
In general. No, we like to thank our sponsors before we get too much further.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to #iHunt. Thank you to Blood Thing. Thank you to Ambient Dream Studio. More about all of them are going to be later in the show.
Yep. Midway.
And also, before we reveal what movie we're going to talk about today, it's not the movie we said we would do again. Because Elden Ring came out and we just kind of didn't watch a movie.
Hey, we did too, but
yeah.
Well, okay. So here, the lineage, right? It goes like this. We watched the Blair Witch Project, and I was like, Neo, I want to know what you think of the Blair Witch Project. Now, Neo fell asleep pretty quick into the Blair Witch Project.
I was in and out.
In and out, yeah. You were in and out all night. So, and you didn't really develop many takes, I guess, than tell the people. Okay, tell the people then.
I don't know.
Your takes.
My takes were I thought it was people in the woods yelling, and every one of their voices grated on me. Like I would rather like grate my ears with a cheese grater than listen to any one of them ever again.
Well, at least you had nightmares while you were watching it. You know what I mean? It was just a total miserable experience.
Anyway. So we decided not to do that because then I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah,
and that's
just not going to happen. But we did before all of this started. We did. Well, okay. It's important to know. Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we got Greg Abbott really boned us.
Yeah.
Because we had a big ol' like Texas apologetic episode. And the next day, the trans thing came out.
Now we're all fucking fucked, and we have to get out of the state as refugees.
So
wonderful.
I just want to say, everything we said about Texas was before the real bad thing happened.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is like the people in Texas are generally good. The legislative body in Texas is generally bad.
Yeah,
but it's so bad that we have to leave.
Yeah. So,
and yeah. Sorry.
I just putting like a caveat in last episode, like fuck Greg Abbott.
Well, and just
Dan Patrick.
An addendum here is that Neo said earlier that the reason that we didn't watch a movie this week was because of Elden Ring. That is not entirely true.
No,
I barely play video games. I was working my ass off. And the reason I was working my ass off was because I've been trying to get the fuck out of this state because Greg Abbott is trying to kill us. So understand that this whole thing really threw a wrench in our whole life. Like everything we were doing had to come to a dead stop because of this legislative choice. So, we do apologize that we didn't like come up with some spicy new thing this week. But let me tell you what, this has been one of the most hellish months of my life. So we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah. Next week we really are gonna try to watch the Rob Zombie movie.
So long as no one with guns shows up at my home, we should be watching the Rob Zombie movie. My goodness. Anyway, okay, and with that
big old caveat,
we decided to watch a movie that was shit-talking Texas because of all of this bullshit, and that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with 100% more Dennis Hopper.
Yes.
Than
thank
any
God
other
for
Texas
that.
Chainsaw Massacre. 100% less Matthew McConaughey, but
A shame.
We'll have to. Wouldn't it be great if the
Yes,
two of them were
yes,
in a
it
movie
would.
together?
Yes, it would. Wouldn't that be a better lefty from this and fucking?
Can you imagine
Yes.
Blue Velvet but with Matthew McConaughey as
Oh
the
my
character?
god, this is getting really good. This is like getting surreal. Okay.
All right.
Well, there's so much to talk about here, and so for context, we watched this about a month ago. I pressured Neo to watch this because I was like, Neo, I think that you will have weird takes on this. Now, there's so much context here. The first being that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was a movie that was never intended to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch the movie, you're like, damn, this movie did not need to exist
No.
at all.
And I don't think anyone in the movie thought it should exist either.
Yeah, no, there's this like attitude amongst everybody where they're just like, okay, let's just fucking get this shit over with.
Well, we got held hostage and forced to watch Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And like the one thing I'll say about Spider-Man is that like everyone kind of gave it their all with that movie.
Yeah, they knew it was fucking kind of stupid, but they
Yeah.
really tried their ass off.
And while I didn't like a lot of that movie, like Andrew Garfield and
cared.
the
Tobey
other one,
Tobey
Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire,
Yeah, they gave a shit,
and
right?
Willem Dafoe,
Yeah,
and the guy who played Doc Ock. Like they
Right.
all just acted their little hearts out, and that's like that's the great part
it's
of the movie.
charming and sweet. It
like-
almost makes it like wholesome and human in a small scale way.
Yeah, and so it's like everyone in that movie did 110%. Really tried as hard as they could.
They really make you forget that was like $100 million movie.
Yeah, and and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is the polar opposite.
Yes,
where,
it is constantly reminding you that it is a cheap piece of shit and it is embarrassed to exist.
Yeah, and no one cares. No one in the movie cares about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the not caring about it is almost the good part about it. If there was arguably one, see, this is where we're gonna get into it because there's problems with the irony of it, but also there's some context that you need to have but you don't have, and that is that Canon Films, Golden Globus, the film company, is pretty well known for making garbage, just garbage,
Didn't
just
they
trash.
make Samurai Cop?
No,
No?
that was Amir Shervan. Golden Globus was mostly known for making like low budget action movies, but they also dipped into like the Emmanuel movies and like sexploitation, cheap like pseudo porn shit like softcore and like teen skin flicks and all kinds of shit. They even have a movie with a fucking guy dressed up as a little monkey pretending to be a monkey in a monkey suit because they wanted a monkey to talk. I mean, there's a lot of bad decisions on display in Canon Films. And a lot of it is because they were so cheap. So you know how like Blumhouse nowadays, they have this reputation for like they'll take an art house filmmaker like a Jordan Peele, they'll give him like $2 million and they'll be like, go for it. And then he'll make something great because, he's cheap. So the same theory was being applied here. Monogam Golem was like, I want to have Toby Hooper, who is a great artist, come work for me. And so he was like, how do I lure Toby Hooper in to work for me? Well, there's the what do I want him to do versus what I need to receive. So he was like, Toby, I'll give you a fucking 3-picture deal, man. 3, not just 1, 3. And budget, it'll be low, but it'll be workable, and you can do whatever you want, anything, literally anything. So he makes Life Force, the craziest space vampire movie where there's like a naked woman as a space vampire, the whole movie walking around sucking people's souls out. It's amazing. And then Invaders from Mars, which is kind of like a bad comedy movie about alien invaders. And then Golden Globus were like, yes, but the catch here is that we'll give you a 3-picture deal. You get to make two of your own, and then one has to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But the bit is that it was the 80s. Woohoo! You know, Tobe Hooper's a coked up lunatic in the 80s, and he's working on this solely so that he can go on to make Life Force, the coolest fucking thing ever. So his coked out brain is like, all right, let's just pound this one the fuck out. Let's get this fucking over with. And oh my God, like the choices on display in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 are like genuinely some of the most baffling in any movie ever. Almost so much that it kind of comes back around for me. But we're going to talk about that. So the people at home need context. Can you tell them what the fuck happens in this?
Okay, so the movie takes place like a million years after the first one, or I guess like 10 years.
Yeah.
After the first one, and the basic bit is that the family, the Leatherface family is back.
Yes.
And they're killing people to put in chili so they can win chili contests and have a chili business. So that's their whole vibe now. Is they have a person factory where they turn people into chili, and then sell the chili in like a
chili cook-offs across the nation in a food truck.
They have a food truck where they sell chili.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so then Dennis Hopper is a ex-Texas Ranger who's trying to kill.
Well, he's like related to the OG girl from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I thought he was related to like the cop
or somebody like that. He was related to somebody.
Were cops killed in the first one?
No, you're thinking of House of Corpses.
Anyway, he's related to someone, and he used to be a Texas Ranger.
Well, he's trying to get revenge, right?
Yeah. So he goes and he buys a bunch of chainsaws to get revenge.
And I can't stress this enough. This is the greatest scene of any ever. No competition. Like, without a doubt, the greatest scene in any movie ever is when Dennis Hopper buys those motherfucking chainsaws and then goes outside and tests them while the store clerk owner like cackles like a madman. And there's a marching band walking around nearby, and like it's in slow motion, and like it's so surreal because the store owner could not if he has a chainsaw store, right? He could not possibly be looking at Dennis Hopper just whacking a tree with a chainsaw and thinking, yes, good form. He couldn't possibly be thinking that. He would have to be thinking, Jesus Christ, this guy's insane. But he's like laughing and being like, hell yeah, this guy's amazing with this chainsaw. But literally, Dennis Hopper has no idea how to use a chainsaw. It is just hitting a log with a chainsaw.
Like an axe. Like he's not cutting it. He's just using it as like a stick.
Yeah, and Dennis, a chainsaw is about you set it on there and it saws for you. Anyway,
so meanwhile, there's this like Keep Austin weird radio station.
But it's in DFW.
It's
very strange.
Anyway,
yes, you're right.
So they go kill one person who's there, and they have a Leatherface figuratively rapes her with this chainsaw. Because she's like trying to get away from him, and he just has this chainsaw between her legs, and it's like making grunting noises. It's
right.
It's weird.
It's very, very weird. There's eroticism.
Yeah. Anyway, and so then,
but he's also impotent. Like for whatever reason, he can't get it up for her for some reason. Because he likes her, he loves her,
or whatever. So he falls in love with her and
can't get it up.
Yeah, and brings her home.
Oh, but it's very important that we mention that Chop Top is introduced in this scene.
Oh yeah, there's
explain
a guy.
What the fuck even is the bit of Chop Top? Like, what is Chop Top meant to represent and make fun of?
So I think he's supposed to make fun of crazy veterans who came back from Vietnam, but that's kind of a bad bit, right?
Well, Yeah, yeah, well,
like because
but
he's well, so like there's the question of like, was he always kind of like fucked in the head, or was that a product of traumatic brain injuries from Vietnam? Because
right.
he like has a skull plate because he was in like
Lick my
an
plate, you dog
explosion.
dick. Yeah.
And so, you know, if you want to take the movie far more seriously than the movie takes itself, was he like this before he went to war? Is this a product of war? Is this a product of the TBI? Like what's you have to evaluate like what his deal is, and then what the director's trying to say about Vietnam veterans.
Shit! He licked my plate, you dog dick!
Yeah, there he is. So I there's a lot to unpack with I think what the director is trying to communicate with them, and we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that later.
Yes, continue the story.
Anyway, so they kidnap the radio girl, and they bring her back to the chili base, the chili factory.
Right.
And
Well, no, I think she goes after them, right?
Oh, no, I thought
thought
they kidnapped her.
Okay, what? No, I thought
No.
they leave. They left, right? They just leave.
Oh no, you're right. They leave because Leatherface doesn't want to kill her, and then, but then like they find out she's alive, so they're like chasing her or something.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
then she ends up falling through a trap door.
They go there to kill the radio station people to stop them from sending out the signal of them doing the murder, like evidence of them doing the murder, which could potentially destroy their chili business. So
Okay,
they
right.
go there to kill the radio station people, to cease them playing the audio clip, so they will not have their chili business done. But in killing the two people, they take the guy who they kill with a hammer. They don't kill him, but they do really damage him. He's a son of a bitch. He's difficult to kill.
Yeah, how does he not die from that?
I have no idea. But anyway, and then they Leatherface is like, yeah, I totally fucking killed her, but he totally didn't because he couldn't get it up. So he leaves her alive. She then pursues them to their weird amusement park place, where Dennis Hopper is also pursuing them.
Anyway, so she falls in a hole and gets captured.
Yes.
Dennis Hopper starts storming the chili factory.
Yes.
Leatherface gives her a leather face made out of her friend's face.
Yes.
Then she gives it back to him. So like Leatherface is trying to like marry her into the family.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know if I want to. And like, so she takes his face and is like, here's your face back.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want this.
And then there's a giant chainsaw fight as Dennis Hopper fights the family. Oh, they do like a
recreation of the dinner scene.
Recreation of the dinner scene where they're having the yet older grandpa try to hit the girl in the head with the hammer.
Yeah. And it's like literally beating a dead horse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So then Dennis Hopper shows up. There's just this giant, ridiculous chainsaw fight between him, Leatherface, and like the dad. While like what's that guy's name? The
Chop Top?
Chop Top. Well, Chop Top's trying to get the girl.
Yeah.
They chase her to this like weird sci-fi tower thing that just is there.
Yeah.
And then she kills him, right?
Yeah, she kills him with a chainsaw,
She gets a chainsaw and kills him.
And then she dances around with the chainsaw, reflecting the ending of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
Yeah, and then doesn't like Dennis Hopper die?
Yes.
He gets killed.
They all die because a grenade goes off.
Yeah, well, presumably.
Presumably.
And that's the movie.
What a movie.
What a movie.
What a film. What a cinematic film.
That's one way of putting it.
A piece of cinema.
Just like, I don't know. The movie's kind of frustrating to me because
Why?
I feel like
do you want this movie to be good?
Yeah.
And you feel like that was a missed opportunity?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, okay,
I feel like so the director had something to say with the first movie, and while like I have problems with it, and it's not my favorite thing to watch, like I can get what he's trying to communicate. And so the first movie was very purposeful. Like he had a point, he had something he wanted to communicate to you, so he made his movie.
right.
It's like I get it that it's like you just want cocaine money or whatever, or in like you don't have the biggest budget, but why undermine what you did in the first movie? Like why fuck up your own art?
Yeah, well,
And if and is it because you don't believe the point you were making in the first movie, or is it because like you just I don't understand why it's like you would purposely sabotage that, where it's like it's the opposite thing of what Lana Wachowski did with The Matrix, right?
right.
Because she was screwed on The Matrix
and she was
and like
trying
forced
to
into that
correct
position.
the narrative, yeah.
But everything she did was within the constraints and trying to like do whatever she could to like preserve the original trilogy.
Right.
And like they literally say that in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because Neo's literally like, or Smith is talking to Neo, and Smith's like, yeah, Warner Brothers, is going to do this with or without you.
Yeah, like very literally.
Yes. And so it's just like, well, why don't like if you're locked into this movie deal, like why not take it seriously or trying to like elaborate on what you've established or try to have a take. All right, it's time for ads.
Ads.
All right, but we gotta be quiet because we're in the library.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Hi, hello, hi everybody at home. So, have you ever wanted to just be like a little bean on a beach?
Yeah. Yes.
Me?
I have.
Yes, I've thought about that.
Yeah.
I've considered it.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Ambient Dream Studios is our sponsor today. They make art that looks like a little bean on a beach.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good art.
It's like you're the bean, and and the world's the beach.
Yeah, it's all very psychedelic.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something to put on your walls.
Yeah, it's definitely better than the bullshit that your wall probably looks like.
Yeah, it's a stupid.
I know how you motherfuckers be living.
Landlord tan.
Yeah,
cover that shit up.
The landlord tan.
Cover that up. Get some art from Ambient Dream Studio.
Yeah, pick it
Links
up.
Links in the description.
Kinks in the description. Okay, so hey Neo, I was thinking after this we could whip out the old character sheets. Go to town on some ion.
Some ion.
I was thinking about maybe doing some hunting.
What are we gonna hunt down?
I was thinking about hunting down a werewolf.
A werewolf?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I like their smell, their scent. I want to snuggle inside of one.
The musk.
Yeah, the musk, the Elon Musk of it. Have you seen The Revenant?
Is that the one with the bear?
Yeah. Well, there's a later scene where he cuts open a deer and sleeps inside of it. I would like to
like
do
in Star
that with a
Wars.
werewolf. Yes, like in
I
Freddy
feel
Got Fingered.
I feel like you'd contract lycanthropy.
Probably.
I'd
be okay with that.
You would?
Roll for lycanthropy. I Hunt is really cool. You should check it out.
Hashtag I Hunt. It's in the description. Check it out.
Yeah. Okay. And sometimes when you're on YouTube.com, you're like, dang.
There's a lot of bad.
There's a lot of bad
stuff
on there. You just on the old 7 C's of the internet. You gotta serve responsibly.
Yeah.
But luckily, there still is wholesome art out there.
Yeah.
Some people are still out there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it might sound not wholesome, but Blood Thing is a lot better than the majority of the content you're going to see on YouTube.com. I can promise you that.
Yeah, go watch it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cute. It's abstract. It's really well animated.
Yeah. That little blood thing.
Yeah, little blood thing. Just a little blood thing.
Who doesn't like blood?
Yeah, a little blood play.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
You can also sponsor us on Patreon.
Patreon.com/excrement.
/excrement.
Patreon.com/excrement.
All right, we're gonna leave the library and go back to the podcast now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. We gotta. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Hey, close the door. Oh wait, close the door behind you. Okay, thanks. And we're back.
And we're back.
Welcome back to the podcast, you bitch. So where we last left off, Neo was being overly critical of the film Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is a film that has a wonderful place in history.
Sure. We can go with that.
Go off. No, tell the world what you fucking think.
Well,
the world's ready to hear your opinions.
No, it's just like, I want. It's like, he makes all these like really valid points about the like the nature of war and the
like
just,
in the OG movie, or do you believe it? I mean,
in the OG movie, and we missed the bit because the battery died when you're.
Oh yeah, we had to do a
just
little
had to
stoppy poo.
Cut a bit, but no, I think there's things that he wants to communicate, but then he runs into the Eli Roth problem where he can't get out of his own way to communicate them.
I mean, that's true. I think also, so consider this: the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a movie that is fairly bloodless.
Yeah, well, and even like so comparing like two scenes where like the first kill from the first one, like it's just a bonk and then they're done. Well, I don't think they kill her, but there's just like a bonk and then it's over. Like, well, she's down. Where in this one, they like hit someone in the head like 50 fucking times, and then they're still alive and functioning, and it's
right.
like, well, the reason the first one was good and worked was bonk, they're done. Like,
right.
It's a comment on like human mortality and how easy it is just to like
right. Well,
get humans to stop working.
Well, and we're both smart enough to know that if the movie is doing this, it's doing it intentionally. And if it's doing it intentionally, what it means to say is that, like, it's making fun of the nature of, like, over excessivizing, if that's a word, the violence in horror movies that's shifted from when Texas Chainsaw Massacre was made to now.
Well, but
a joke isn't worth it, is my point.
But I don't. But it isn't played off as a joke. Like it isn't played off as like like how many times you have
Tom
to hit him.
Savini fucking did the effects like it's like very well done effects.
Right.
Which
so it's
is
not
also fucking weird.
And it's like if you're gonna have a take, then don't undercut your take.
Right.
Don't like water it down and don't like make it as confusing as possible.
Right.
And just present your opinion, like present your take.
Right.
Where it kind of does the whole like Birds of Prey thing, where it spends the entire movie like attacking itself.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well that might be funny in the moment. Like I want a movie that has faith in itself.
Right.
It's like I want a movie that has self-confidence.
Yeah.
And when the entire bit of the movie is like you're just kind of like relentlessly mocking the movie,
the concept of
itself. It's just I don't want to engage with it because it's like I want you to have some pride and self-confidence like as a movie
in your ideas.
And that's why I hated Birds of Prey. Like it's like I wanted to like it. Like
but it didn't have any confidence in its ideas.
I like Harley Quinn. I liked all the characters conceptually, but they spent the entire movie was all the characters cutting each other down. Where it's like if I want, it's like say what you will about like the Avengers, right?
Oh, new Spider-Man, right?
New Spider-Man.
They all say they love each other.
Yeah, like the entire thing is they're like building each other up, and while they don't mesh together initially, they have this whole thing where they're like, we need to work together. Like, and it's this whole like, all the Spider-Men are kind of like insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Not kind of, like they're all really insecure about something. And they had this moment where they had to do a little powwow and like, all right, guys, we got to figure this out, Yeah. And so while like, yeah, it's just like, okay, like you can make fun of your own movie. I get it. The movie you made sucks. Why don't you make a better one? You can. I've seen it. I know you can. It's like it just like,
screams they don't want to do it. It screams they don't want to be there because we know that Tobe Hooper could have made a good movie if he would have tried. As a matter of fact, Life Force is pretty damn good.
Right. And it's like it's the whole, and I have this problem where if I don't want to do something or if I don't like something, I just won't engage with it. And the critique I've gotten all the time in my life, and it really stings to the core every time I've gotten it, is like, why don't you just try? Like,
Yeah.
it's like you want it to be bad so much that you're sabotaging it yourself so you can say, look, it's bad, I'm right.
Right.
And it's like that's an unhealthy mentality
Right.
from someone who does that. Because
Right.
it's just an ingrained problem I have. So I understand it because it's something that I do sometimes. But at the same time, it's not a good thing to do. It's not a
Right.
good habit,
Yeah.
and I don't think it makes good movies.
Well, so I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre lineage, right? It goes the first one, genuine, critical, intense.
Yeah.
Second movie, joke, farce, literal farce. Like it takes the same ideas and turns them into a farce. Third movie, unrelated to the original people that made it. Leatherface, the third one, is just a straight up action movie. It's just it's like Aliens, but for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's super fucking lame. I don't like it very much. And then 4 is like meta modernist, where it's talking about horror audiences and what horror audiences want versus like what an artist wants to say in a 4th Texas Chainsaw Massacre, supposedly.
Right.
And then the remake is trying to recapture the original vibe. So now we're in this place where we're trying to recapture the original vibe. So it's like the whole series of films is commenting on the first movie just in totality. Like the whole point of all of these movies is to comment on the first film. Like, and I think that that's very frustrating.
It's sad.
Because they never actually developed any new ideas. And if there's one, I can say Chop Top is a fairly new idea. That's
Right.
kind of fun. And also Bill Moseley. Like I have a billion stories about Bill Moseley. Me and Bill Moseley go back. But which is a strange thing to say, I know. But like I like Chop Top. Even though I don't understand what the fucking bit is with Chop Top.
Yeah, like why is he in the movie? What is he supposed to represent?
He's kind of like the Jar Jar Binks of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, because so he's a war veteran hippie.
Yes.
He's also like a murderer who puts people in a chili. Like, what's the commentary there?
Well,
what
the
are you trying
commentary
to...
is I really need him in Dead by Daylight immediately. No. Well, I think that the original movie is all about like marginalizing people, like that we don't really approve of or like in society. We try to pretend they don't exist, and when you try to pretend they don't exist, they kind of end up in specific communities of their own, and then it's almost like unsurprising when you end up in their area of what's going to happen. It's like you're invading their territory more than anything, is the way that it kind of comes across. So it's like the original movie, it's all about a bunch of people going in and invading this person's home and then immediately getting punished for that.
Right.
Which is Vietnam, right? And so then this movie, I now need to remember what my point is.
Wait, is Chop Top from this the brother in the first one?
I don't think so. I don't know what the deal is there. I think that there was some debate about that. Some people say that he's the hitchhiker, but I've also met the guy who plays the hitchhiker, and he was like, no. And also the characters are very different.
Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Like, is the implication that between movie 1 and movie 2, that homie went to fucking Vietnam and got a plate in his head?
Is it?
I guess.
Well, and so it's like if you're trying to say something about like how specifically in Vietnam we as in America purposely like took people who failed the aptitude tests for the military,
Yeah.
and put them together and sent them to Vietnam just to see what the fuck would happen. And like
Right.
a lot of them got really fucked up because it turns out you like want people who are able to pass the aptitude test for being a soldier.
Right. So there's like these people that are kind of like they weren't super educated. They weren't super like,
A lot of them had Down syndrome.
yeah, not super
yeah.
in a great place for that, like in a mental place for that. And then you put them in war, then they get all fucked up. They come home and now,
Well,
So, and but I mean, that's the point, right? It's
so,
the
like,
marginalization thing.
right, but then okay, so if that's the bit he's trying to communicate, then why is he still like, I don't know, pushing the like I don't know, that kind of like hurtful narrative to them,
Hey, lick my plate, you dog dick.
That's why.
Yeah, well, but I don't know. It's just like if any American soldiers in the Vietnam War could, can be like empathized with, it's the people who like who under any circumstances should not have been sent to war. And even
Right.
the military was like, we don't want to send these people to war because they're all going to die horribly.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert McNamara was like, well, what if we did? No one cares about them. Let's just send them to war and see what happens. And they had a drastically higher mortality rate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like some like dickhead in Washington got a ton of people killed who were mostly like marginalized and mentally ill, just literally just to see what would happen.
Well,
And so it's like,
yeah.
and if you're trying to comment on that, then I don't know, show some more like grace and respect to those people, because like out of they really got fucked over.
Right. So it kind of like makes them a comical stereotype
So
while
it's-
also claiming that they're like marginalized away
Yeah.
from the thing. So it's like trying to say that veterans are like a thing, but like, and we mistreat and marginalize our veterans, but also it's like sometimes veterans are crazy.
Well, yeah. It's like, it's like, oh, it's kind of in the same vein where it's like, isn't it a shame that we have so many homeless veterans? And it's like, all right, let's do something about it. I'm like, well, no, they're scary. I don't talk to homeless people. It's like,
well, and
what?
that's like that's very literally the bit of this movie, right? Is the marginalization of those people. But where I think the original movie like does that in a very genuine way, this one does it in an entirely ironic way. And I mean, I think that it's commenting on the exact same kind of thing, which is like Vietnam 10 years later and shit like that.
Right.
But at the same time, it's taken everything and turned it into such a farce that it's like, it's very 80s in that way, but also like, I kind of wonder, see, this came out around the same time as like fucking Blue Velvet. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like, if you're going to have a take, why be disingenuous about it? Why undercut it?
Right.
Why dilute it? Why tone it down?
Sure.
Right, so I don't think he's very confident in his opinions.
ideas.
Where in the first movie he was like fired up, like he had something to say and he needed you to hear it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm watching this movie and it's like, well, give me a take. Like, don't.
Right.
And in no amount of Dennis Hooper swinging a chainsaw like an idiot can
He's
cover
gonna-
up the fact that like he was trying to say something and got in his own way to such a degree that he just failed to say it, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I mean, but I think that chainsaw fight at the end, right? It's like trying to make a farce of war, almost. I think, where it's like guys with their big mechanical dicks hitting each other with them for no fucking reason, just over territory, revenge, whatever, until they both get blowed up. Right. I mean, that's like a farce. It's like funny, but also the gore stuff is pretty serious in the movie. And I don't think it's played for laughs. It's sometimes played for laughs, but it's like a bitter laugh. Like, I don't even understand.
It's like vindictive.
Yeah. If you were in the 80s, like, would you think this was funny? I don't even know. Like, I genuinely don't know. So, but this film was very popular. You'd be unsurprised to hear. I mean, it didn't have a lasting legacy and impact quite as much as I think a lot of people realize. But also, then you flip over to like House of Thousand Corpses, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like, it's so Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Right. But But like Rob Zombie wasn't a cynical asshole when he made House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right. He tries to take there's like a jovial attitude about it.
Yes, where there's no mirth or whimsy in the second one, even though it pretends to have it, I think.
Mm-hmm. So the biting cynicism of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 kills it for you as well.
Well, I mean, I don't mind biting cynicism because I tend to be a pretty cynical person.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna be cynical, because I feel like the first movie was very cynical.
Yeah, sure.
But if you're gonna be cynical, then don't try to be goofy.
Yeah.
Like don't bring in washed up Dennis Hooper who's just gonna act like a goofy idiot.
I mean, and he does.
Like it's like, all right, so if you want to be like cold and cynical, and if you want to talk about how like, you know, war is just like posturing, and if you want to have your final confrontation be two people with phallic objects hitting each other with them until a grenade goes off. Like I think that's a valid point to make, but why make it goofy? Like that's not a goofy point you're trying to make, and I don't think the goofiness adds anything to the movie.
Right.
Like, and it's just like it's just,
Because there's not really much humanity in it, right? It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a type of person.
right because
That type of person doesn't exist.
and also no one tries to bring it to the movie, and I think like the most human character in the movie is Leatherface.
Because he can't get it up.
Well, not because he can't get it up, but because he cares about the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like he falls in love with her, and he's a serial killer, and it's like his own twisted way. But he's like, you know, he's the only character who like.
Well, he's also ultimately following the will of his parents, like, you know, or that
Right.
kind of vibe.
Well, and I think like one of the whole bits with Leatherface is is like they have the big old gender question.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to find their place in this like family.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they're taking up like the mother role.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And I don't know. I think like Leatherface's humanity and like is the most interesting part of the film.
Yeah. And it's the thing that is the least developed on.
Yeah. And it's just I don't know. It's if you're gonna be like just cynical and make cynical movies, like just make cynical movies. Like don't. It's just be genuine. Like don't try.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be disingenuous in your movies.
Yeah. Well, so like, you know, Team America. World
Yeah.
Police. And it's like a farce in the same way where it's like, but at some point it becomes kind of inappropriate. Right.
And it's a cynical farce made by a bunch of like cynical, like
kind of
assholes. You know, who just genuinely hate humanity.
Yeah.
But from the get-go, the moment you start that movie, you know that these two dipshits hate you, and they hate everyone you know, and they hate themselves most of all. And the entire movie is going to be the celebration of this like
self-hatred and world hatred
of
and
self-hatred and apathy, and you know, and so it's like I don't want to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the director to like, you know,
comically tell me that humanity sucks instead of telling me that there's like a genuine concern. Right. It's a sequel to this, like, in my opinion, the scariest movie of all time. And the reason that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the scariest movie of all time is it directly addresses the reality that ultimately, if somebody has an intention and they decide that you are meat in the same way that a dog could be meat or any other thing with a face. And like, we have this assumption that just because you have a face, that doesn't mean you're meat. But the ultimate truth of humanity is that you are meat.
Well, and it's like part of what made the first movie scary and terrifying was all the characters had humanity. Like they were human, like they had humanity, and over the course of the movie, it got like callously
Butchered.
And like cynically removed.
Right.
And not out of malice, not out of like mirth or whimsy, but because they were a sack of meat and someone had a job to do. And it was like, and so, it's humanity in the face of the grinding gears of apathy.
Right.
But in order to have that stick, you both have to communicate the humanity and the apathy, which is something that he wasn't able to communicate either of those in the second one. Like all the characters felt like derpy, goofy caricatures of the characters, so they didn't really have a humanity. And then all the bad guys didn't have they weren't very cynical. They were funny and they were kooky and it was a joke. And so there wasn't this like apathy to death.
Yeah, it just, I mean, none of the intent was there. But also, I mean, just the fucking title of it is a joke if you really, really break it down. I know that sounds silly, but think about it. It's like the first movie, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So the important words in there are the and massacre. The massacre, not to be confused with a massacre, but the massacre.
The definitive.
Which is
the one and only.
Like the Boston Massacre or some shit. So then you just apply that to the second movie and it's just hilarious. The Massacre 2. The Massacre 2.
Uh-huh.
It's just like that. What that doesn't work. Like that inherently doesn't make sense. Like a massacre is like a weird passion act. It's not like people go on multiple massacres. Like, you know what I mean? There isn't a Boston Massacre 2.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't another one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like inherently a stupid idea. The Massacre 2. But then you get to this point where it's like, how many fucking Chainsaw Massacre? Well, and it's like, listen, they could have called the movie The Chainsaw Massacre and it would have been fine because, like, there is only the one Chainsaw Massacre that they can think of.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, no, we will specify it is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Which is to say, like, this is a very specific one Chainsaw Massacre that was very, like, they have one in mind.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the second one, you go to the third one, you go to the fourth one, you get to like several sequels in, you get 9 movies, and you're like, how many motherfucking massacres are happening in Texas with chainsaws? And it's a genuine. Listen, I don't know anybody who has a chainsaw.
My dad does.
All right. I don't even know. Most of the bitches I know don't even have fucking lawns. You know what I mean? It's like this is like a state where most people live in fucking poor, shitty apartments.
I will say there's a lot of suburbia in Texas.
And there's a lot of suburbia. A lot. So, the idea is that, well, if you go out far enough, there's somebody with a chainsaw and they'll fucking get you. And like I just don't think that there are that many of the massacres that exist in Texas specifically with chainsaws. So, not to overstate the point, but I do think that Tobe Hooper is not a dumb person. He was coked out of his mind, but he is not a dumb person. And surely when he wrote down the first time, typed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, he wanted to die. And I can feel that in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's my ultimate point here, is that, like, I can feel some hatred in there.
But I don't know. But I feel like if you wanted to make a movie about how much he hated making this movie, I feel like he could have made a better movie about how much he hated making the movie.
Right. You're thinking of like Wachowskis and shit like that, where they're like just directly, blatantly stating the point. And like, I don't know. There's this one part in the movie where it exemplifies a lot of the problems with the movie. Where so the main character, Stretch, is a lady. She's a radio host. She's like about to fall in a hole. Dennis Hopper runs up, goes, "Girlie, I was following you a long time back. I've been trying to make sure that you're okay. I'm tracking you down." And then she's like, help me, I'm going to die. And she puts her hand up like, please help me. And of course, Dennis Hopper is within reach to get her with his hand or something. I mean, he has a fucking chainsaw on him. You know, there's so many things that you can do to get somebody out of a hole. They can grab onto something like that, perhaps. Anything.
He has like
Take off your jacket and throw it and
well,
just pull.
He has all this like chainsaw holsters on.
Right,
him.
exactly. There's like a million things. Well, no, he doesn't do any of that. By the way, chainsaw holsters. I want you to think about that when you go to sleep this evening. A chainsaw holster, like, you know, for multiple, so that you can. It's a holster for chainsaws for murder. Anyway. You know, the purpose of them, you know, it's not like they're lawn equipment. Anyway, but in this scene, Dennis Hopper does not reach for anything sensible whatsoever, even though he is presented as a person with some sense. He does not reach for anything helpful. Instead, he grabs a busted skeleton arm and hands it to her, and immediately that breaks and goes south. So that's like a moment where they need something to happen, right? They want to get things a-moving. And they don't want these two characters to be together, but they know that there is sensible choices to be made that could potentially keep them together. But they're too lazy to come up with like a joke or a not a joke about this. Like, they don't do a sensible thing, and they also don't make a joke out of like him making a stupid choice to help her. You know, it's not like he lifts the skeleton arm up after it happens and goes, I'm a fucking idiot. What am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't comment on it. So the point is, they didn't make a decision. It just happened. It was just no thought was put into that. And I feel like that exists throughout the movie, where it's like, no matter how much I want to love this movie as a Tobe Hooper movie, it is a Canon film. And that's where we got to get back to, and I'm glad we're getting back there finally. But this is a Canon film. And Canon movies are pretty much always fucking terrible. Always. Always. Because they're always a bad idea. They're always encouraged by bad, like, idea people. Usually they're sleazy, slimy, cheap, poorly produced, and the thing is, there's a lot of people that go into making a movie. There's not just the one person. You know, it's not just Tobe Hooper. You can grab Tobe Hooper and make a sick, sweet movie. It doesn't exactly work like that. It's more like you got to have a dependable crew of people that you can actually work with. And while Tobe Hooper is a nice creative head, a lot of the people that were working at Canon that they had come in and light that fucking movie and work on that movie, you know, they didn't give a shit and they were terrible at their jobs. So no matter what you do with the creative heads, like, obviously the head is important, but so is the body. And a lot of times they were bringing in like the absolute worst creatives.
Right.
The cheapest possible. You know, a lot of them are porn creatives that they would bring in just to get this shit done. I mean, for instance, a year before they even made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, they were already selling the posters. You know, they were trying to sell theaters on this movie that they hadn't even written or thought about. What's it gonna be? Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares?
Right.
And like, you know, then it had to happen at some point. So obligatory movie happens. I mean, that's blatant. That's like blatantly lazy and shitty. But everybody knows this because it's canon. So I think if you want to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, you have to accept that it is a farce. It is not really of the intention of the first film. It is not a great representation of Tobe Hooper as a filmmaker. It is sloppy and lazy because the crew was sloppy and lazy and they were working for cheap. It is produced by Canon, which is to say it's terrible. And Dennis Hopper's in it and doesn't give a fuck, which is kind of funny. So it rides this line of, is it so bad it's good or is it a funny farce? And the reality is it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a hot mess.
So, with that,
Yes.
the good pile or the shit pile?
I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go with good pile, but that's because I like a hot mess, and this is one of my favorite cinematic hot messes. In that, I feel like I could analyze this and like Nightmare on Elm Street 2 for goddamn forever, because both of them are movies that have identity crises. Like they're both movies that cannot figure out what the fuck they're doing or why they're doing it. But then once they're doing it, they're like, oh fuck, they're holding on to the reins, and it's a wild fucking ride.
Right.
So thank God for that. They don't make movies like that these days. You go to a movie theater and you go see a sequel to a horror movie, it's the most boring thing you've ever fucking seen.
Right.
Anyway, what about you, Neo? I know you're
Shit pile.
Yeah. Finally, it finally happened, right?
Yeah.
Is this the first one? Well, no, Eli
no.
Roth.
Yeah.
Eli Roth. Wow. Toby Hooper gets a movie in the shit pile. Look at you.
Make a better movie.
Make a better movie, homie. All right. Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe one day we'll watch a Toby Hooper movie that you actually like.
Yeah, give me the one with the vampire lady.
Yeah, The Life Force. Let's watch
Yeah.
that. You like sci-fi shit.
I love sci-fi.
It's crazy weird sci-fi shit.
We were at the theater being kidnapped to watch Spider-Man.
Yes.
I'm not joking about that, by the way.
Yeah, we were
That I'm not.
kidnapped to watch it.
Yeah, we were kind of bench pressed, but I watched like a trailer for the Buzz Lightyear movie for like the third time,
Mm-hmm.
and after the third time watching the trailer, I went, I might actually go see this. And the reason is you slap like a base layer of sci-fi in anything, and I'm sold. I'm like, all right,
There it is.
There it is.
I'm down. Well, yeah.
like. As he was like, this is like a Stellaris loading screen. And I was like, I love Stellaris loading screens.
Oh my god. God
My
damn it.
favorite thing ever.
Well, all right. I guess that sort of wraps things up around here. Did you know that Toby Hooper was beat to death by his wife?
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, well, okay. It didn't.
I feel like
it
there's more
didn't-
to that story.
There's a lot more to that story. He was being physically abused by this woman for a very long time. And then it all came to a head when eventually he got beat up so bad that he ended up in a hospital. And he was in the hospital for a really, really long time. And he died from complications of it later.
That's tragic.
Yeah, it's a fuck. It's a big old fuck.
It's the end.
Yay!
Yay.
So it's just funny how even the person who made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre met a very, very bitter, horrible end.
Yeah,
Just like us.
that sucks.
Yeah. This is kind of a downer.
Yeah.
Kind of a downer ending. I miss him. He was a good dude. We used to play pool together, me and Toby. Hang out at the bar, smoke J's, me and Toby. Although I will say, Toby Hooper comes across like he's the biggest pothead on the planet.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Anyway.
I'll see y'all next week when we talk about some other stupid shit.
Yeah.
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 See ya.
Bye.